I assume by now you've probably heard stories about David's sense of humor, which was incredible, and of course his intelligence and his courage, and the fact that he lived almost all of his life with pain. What I'd like to single out about Dave is a buzzword you've heard a lot about in the last few months, and that's integrity. And to me, David had a special kind of integrity in the sense that this was a person that even when he was against you on the other side of a lawsuit or didn't agree with you, you nevertheless continued to trust him and to feel secure that you were safe with David, and if he were going to oppose you, that there would be no surprises. He would come straight at you. What I remember particularly is I think probably I participated in the last jury trial that David was involved in. It was a custody case. I represented the mother. John Nichols represented the father, and David was the ad litem. What was remarkable about it was that my client perceived John Nichols, of course, as Darth Vader of a sort. She perceived her husband, of course, as the essence of evil, and the court-appointed psychologist who was recommending that her husband have custody as a complete fool. Dave was the ad litem, and Dave, in fact, was supporting the father for primary custody of the child. But the strange thing was that my client couldn't bring herself to think anything bad about David. She mostly was perplexed at what she could have done or what there was about her that would have allowed someone as obviously intelligent and sincere and caring to be so wrong in the conclusion that he had arrived at in his recommendation. The good news for her was, of course, that, well, I say of course, anyway, the good news for her was that we prevailed and she got custody of her children. But she never did understand, and she always felt that one of her failures was that she was not able to persuade David that he should recommend her in this trial. All during the course of it, which took about 2 weeks, David was ill and in great pain, and my client was far more concerned about David and that he was doing okay than she seemed to be about what was going on in the trial. And I think maybe it was a year and a half, 2 years later, when David died, and my client, upon reading about it in the newspaper, called me and of course wanted to know if she could go with me to the funeral, which I think is probably a first, but she only met David in those circumstances, and he was in very real sense an adversary, but once she met him, she never forgot him and never lost respect or admiration for him, and I think that's remarkable. And that sort of professionalism and just quality as a human being, I think, is what is embodied in the Dave Gibson Award. And anyone who receives it, I think, should feel highly honored.